So you can apply n number of force or infinite force, and after release of the force, if you just take out two pieces of paper, both are separated out because there is no proper bonding between the matrix and the reinforcement. Again, if the same two papers, just you apply some gum or adhesive, like you can apply gum, Fevicol, Fevikwik, whatever it is, just apply it and again apply the force on it. So after releasing the force, try to separate out the paper. No, it will not get separated out. Both are like acting as a single entity because the reinforcement is holding properly with the matrix material. So as a result of that, both will act as a single component or single element or a single material. So as a result of this, what will happen? So the bonding between the matrix and reinforcement is very, very good. So that bonding is created by the third body. Sometimes the third body it is called as intermatrix or intermetallic composite. Okay, so this is the third body which holds the matrix and reinforcement together. So because of this, what will happen? The strength of an composite again further it increases. So that is what the advantage of this using intermatrix composite or intermetallic composites. Okay, so you can see these are multiple number of layers. These are multiple number of layers. So when you apply the force by using this intermatrix composite, then the bonding will be very good. So for example, you can see these benches, how this laminate has been adhered on the plywood or the wood. Okay, just you keep the laminate on the wood and apply the force, it will not get attached to the surface. Just you put some quantity of adhesive like Fevicol. Okay, then you apply the force, then it will adhere permanently. So both will become a single structure. So addition of the additives like the adhesives, Fevicol, Fevikwik, gum, okay, all these are called as intermetallic composite. So this is the maybe the mats or the fibers or the wooden planks. Okay, so these are adhered. So this is called as intermatrix composites. Okay, so this ends introduction of the composites. So in the coming class, I am going to start with the fabrication of the composites. How? Okay, how composites are manufactured. And yesterday we have discussed about this the dimension and orientation. Okay, so if you want more details about this, then I will tell you in the previous class because it will be again repetition and repetition. So dimension and orientation we have seen in earlier class. Okay, so these manufacturing of composites depend upon the type of material. For example, if it is a polymer, okay, so for this polymer you can use the injection molding process, heap process, okay, the extrusion process, okay, blow molding process. Okay, all these are the, again there are a number of processes, all these are used for the polymers. For metals and ceramics, furnaces, that is liquid treatment is used. That is, liquid treatment means you are going to heat the metal and convert it to the liquid state. That is, heating the metal beyond its melting point and then adding the elements, then cool it, then you are going to get the composite. That is called as liquid component. Then it is solid state processing like the powder metallurgy, followed by the sintering process. Okay. Then it is spray deposition process, spray deposition or spray coating process. Then it is vapor deposition process, and okay, so these are some of the processes how the metals and ceramics are manufactured. So I will not go more about this polymer processing because the third unit deals with completely polymers. Okay, so there we are going to study about this polymer and polymer processing. Then now I am going for this metals and ceramics. So first one, I'm going to take it as liquid metal treatment. Okay, so liquid metal treatment. So this liquid metal treatment is nothing but you take any element, take a crucible, okay, add this whatever the metals, okay, you want to add or whatever the ceramics you want to add. Then you supply, this is a crucible. Okay, so crucible is nothing but it's a container where you are going to put all these elements. So it is like a utensil. When you want to prepare a food, so you are taking it in a utensil. No, so similarly, when you are heating any elements, so you require a crucible. So this crucible, you are going to put all the elements what you want to fabricate a composite. Then you are going to heat this. So this heating is carried out by using generally the furnaces. So these furnaces are either electric furnace, okay, or a blast furnace, okay, or it can be an induction furnace, or it can be a resistance furnace, okay. Sometimes it can be a chemical process also, or sometimes it can be a gas heating also. So generally they use the electric furnace. So this is heated and this is taken to above its melting point. So when this is heated beyond the melting point, all these solids are converted to the liquid state. So your solids are converted to liquid now. Okay, so solid has converted to liquid. So when this will get converted, when you are going to hit the above melting point. So now this is basically a matrix material. Now in this matrix material, now you add the reinforcement. So when you add the reinforcement into the matrix material, then what will happen? This reinforcement get mixed homogeneously in the matrix material. So you can do some stirring operation. So by doing the stirring operation, the homogeneity can be maintained such that the dispersion of reinforcement can be maintained uniformly in the matrix material. Then you take out this, put in a die or in the mold, then you cool it, then you are going to get the solid. So that process is called as solidification. So after that solidification, you get the material. So that material can be used for certain applications directly or by carrying out some secondary process, then you can use that particular material. So this type of material is called as liquid metal treatment or a liquid treatment. So this is how the composites are generated by the liquid treatment process. This process is similar to that of the casting process. Okay, so as you can see the casting process, no, so in the foundries, so it is similar to that only. But the quantity or the quantum of this composite is not heavy as that of the casting or on the foundries. So in foundries, minimum is 500 kgs or in terms of tons together. Okay, sometimes 2 tons, 5 tons, 10 tons of material is melted simultaneously. So here it is not in terms of tons nor in terms of quintals. So this is in terms of hardly 100 kgs, maximum 50 to 60, or at the worst case 100 kg is the max. Okay, so beyond that, no. Okay, so this is called as composites. So which composite processing? This is the liquid treatment process, liquid metal treatment process. So you can add single reinforcement or multiple reinforcement depending upon the size, shape, everything. Okay, so this is called as liquid treatment process or liquid metal treatment process. So second is the powder route method. Powder route method, or it is also called as powder metallurgy. Okay, so any solid material, so this is broken into a smaller powders. So this is called as top-down approach. So the bigger size material has been broken and converted to smaller size material or the particles. So these particles can be of micron in size or micro in size, okay, in terms of micron, or macro, or sometimes it is nano also. Okay, so depending upon the size, the powder techniques means the strength will be varied and the property will be again varied. So generally this powder metallurgy, generally they are going to use this micron size. Okay, so generally the 200 to 400 microns they are going to use. Okay, so this is the top-down approach. The bigger size has been converted to smaller size. So this is the fine particles of this powder is being taken, and that is taken into a mold. So assume that this is a mold which is having the cavity of like this. So this is the first half, and there is one more mold like this. Okay, so when this is taken up, a powder is placed in this. Okay, and a large quantity of force is applied. So after applying the force, what will happen? This powder gets compressed and it gets occupied in this gap. So once sufficient force is applied when you take it, so then you get the product like this. Okay, so this cavity is created in the mold. So after applying the force, so this is fine powder particles. So this is just a solid. If you apply little force, then this is going to break because it is not solidified. So now this part which is been taken out from this mold, now you give sufficient heat to this. Not to the liquid state, it is nothing but just above recrystallization temperature. So what will happen when I am going to take the cross section of this? So these are having the particles like this. So when I am going to give the heat, what will happen? This gets diffused here. Okay. So after diffusing, the material becomes like this. So the material getting get diffused and it becomes a single crystal. So this will take more load and the strength of this is much higher compared to the material or which is manufactured by the casting or by the forging process. Okay, so because this is heated, this is pressed and also heated. In casting, in forging, what will happen? It is first it is heated, then it is pressed. So what will happen? This is pressed and heated. So the pressing, the nature of pressing is very very high in this case compared to the forging application. Hence, this particle is more stronger than of the forged component because the bonding is very very good. So because of this, the strength increases tremendously and all the forging applications like this process bypasses all the forging applications. But this is little costly affair considered to the forging. The cost of forging is less than the powder route method. Hence people adopt the forging technology rather than this powder route process. But the property what you get here is definitely better compared to the your forged component. So this is the powder route method and doing the sintering. So this first what you are going to do is you are going to apply the load. First you are going to take the powder. So then you are going to apply the load or compress it. Then you are going to take out from the mold, that is mold release. Then you are going to do the sintering operation. Sintering operation is nothing but heating this solid product above recrystallization temperature for about 25 degrees recrystallization temperature. Then hold it for some time. Then you cool it. So this is heating, holding and then cooling. So this heating is above recrystallization temperature 25 to 50 degrees max. So generally they go for 25 degrees. So you can hold it for 25 degrees at some time and then cool it slowly. Then you are going to get the powder component, and this is more stronger compared to the forged component. Okay, and third one is spray deposition process. Okay, this spray is nothing but you take a nozzle. So here this is going to connect two different pipes. One is for the matrix, other one is for the reinforcement. So it impacts, okay, the spray. Assume that there is a material, okay, on this it coats this particle. So this deposition is uniformly. So this is nothing but the spray deposition or the coating process on the work material. So you can build the material like this. This is the first coat, second coat, third coat, fourth coat like this and make a component. Okay. So this process is called as the spray deposition process. So here you can make separately the matrix and the reinforcement and allow it to mix here and then get deposited here. So here the heat will be applied and here this is when the material comes out here, this is fused and converted to wafers and it gets deposited on the surface. So here the particle size is very very less. Okay, and at the same time this is getting heated. Okay, so you can bring matrix and reinforcement both separately or you can bring a single pipe which is having matrix and reinforcement. So you can do both. So bringing both together is better rather than bringing both separately into the nozzle. So a nozzle is nothing but a divergent nozzle where your high pressure is converted to high velocity. Okay, so here velocity will be high and the pressure will be low. So here velocity will be low whereas pressure will be high. So this function of this nozzle, okay, which is diffusing in nature. So by this you are going to get a certain velocity, and then you are going to get the deposit, the material on the surface. So this is called as spray deposition material. So if you want to have the fine powders of the composite, or if you want to make the bearings, so in the bearings generally you see the balls, no? So those balls are generally done with the help of this spray coating process. Okay. Earlier they used to do the drop, so they used to make the spherical balls, okay, by using the forging or by the closed die molding. So nowadays they are doing this by the spray deposition process, and the coating which is done on the surface, okay, it is done by the spray deposition process. So these are some of the processes which are used for the ceramics as well as metals. And last one is vapor deposition. Now this is a closed container. Okay. So in this the metal is there. Okay. Maybe this liquid metal or solid is there, and they are going to heat here. Okay. Once they are heating, the solid is converted to liquid. If you heat it beyond its the melting point, that is the superheat, then this liquid metal is converted to vapors. As it converted to vapors, it tries to go upwards because of the light in density. So while it is into the vapors, it also carries some of the components of this metal or the composites. So these composites mix with the vapors and try to go up. So here there is a outlet, okay, so through the mesh, and here there is a component. So when these vapors comes here, so it gets deposited on the surface. So this composite gets deposited on the surface, and this you will get the deposition, and this is very, very fine particles. So this is not in terms of 5 mm, 10 mm, 20 mm thickness. So this thickness or the coating is in terms of microns. Okay, it is in the power 10 to the power of -6. So it is in terms of microns. So 5 microns, 10 microns, 20 microns, like this. So this entire process is carried out in a closed chamber. So as a result of this, what will happen? You get very good surface finish of this component. Okay. So wherever the filament you want to use and the reflective materials if you are going to use for the space applications, all they are going to carry out by the vapor deposition techniques. Okay. Okay. So, well friends, now I am going to tell you the alignment or the orientation of the reinforcement in the matrix. So now let us consider these are the fibers and the resin. Resin is nothing but matrix and fibers is nothing but the reinforcement, and both together is composite. So now in the composite, now we can see when I am doing the tensile stress, this is the stress and this is the strain. Okay. Now my orientation in the first case, the orientation of the fibers in matrix is like this. In the second case, the orientation of the fibers in matrix is an at angle, that is, assume that this is 60 degrees. The second case, in the third case, I have the angle as 45 degrees. In this, I have the case of 30 degrees. And in one more case, I have the case like this, that is 0 degrees, 0, 30, 45, 60 and 90 degrees. So when I'm going to do the tensile test of this, so when I do the tensile test of this, I get the strength here. So I get the maximum strength. So this gets here. So this here. So when I draw the curve, I'm going to get the curve like this. Okay. So it means that the strength of both are same, the same reinforcement and the same matrix. Okay. So only the change in the orientation. So this is like this. Okay. Now we can see this is 0, 30, 40, 60 and 90 degrees. So when it is at 90 degrees, the strength is very, very high. When it is 0 degrees, the strength is very, very low. So in between, whatever the angle you keep, it ranges from 0 to 90. Again, when you cross 90 and come for 105, okay, 120, 145, 160, again you will get this, but in the reverse order. Okay, so this is how the strength of an composite is going to get changed just by orientation of the fibers or reinforcement in the matrix. So now what strength you want, based on that you can orient your fibers or reinforcement in the matrix material. Okay, so this is how you can control your property of the strength of the property of the composite. Okay. Now, in the same case, these are all continuous. Okay. If there is a matrix, just I am going to put the random. So what will happen? So there is a case. These all are one case. This is second case. So in all the cases, there is a predefined property. So if you are going to test 100 number of samples of this or any of this, then you are going to get the exact or similar set of properties when they are aligned at a particular orientation or direction. In this, what will happen? Suppose you have 100 number of samples. Okay. So each sample will give the different results. Means 100 sample means 100 types of results, and no results matches to each, though the matrix and reinforcement both are same, because the orientation is not perfect and it is aligned. They are dispersed every time in an independent order. So 100 samples, 100 different results. So here 100 samples, okay, similar results. So this is what the difference between the continuous and random dispersion. Okay. So now you can see, as there is a difference in the orientation, okay, the strength decreases. Okay. So here I am going to stop. Okay. So if you have any difficulty in understanding these composites, you are free to ask questions. You can write to me, or you can mail to me, or you can call me and WhatsApp. Whatever the media is there, whatever, you can just clarify your doubts. So next class, I'm going to teach you about the volume. So that is longitudinal modulus and the transverse modulus. So longitudinal modulus is nothing but the orientation is like this. So this is called E1 if the orientation is like this, okay, and if it is like this. So in this case it is very weak. In the tensile force this is very weak and this is very, very stronger. Now if it is like this, in the second case, okay, so first case is longitudinal and the second case is transverse. Okay, so now in this case you can see this is compressive force, this is very strong, whereas this is very weak. Okay, so now we are going to consider only this case, so this is called as E2. Okay, so this is called as longitudinal and this is called as transverse direction. Okay, now there is another two terms called as Poisson's ratio and shear modulus, so that we are not going to discuss here. Just I am going to discuss more about this because in the syllabus it is mentioned only about the longitudinal modulus, that is E1. So in this transverse is also ruled out. Just for your understanding, just I am giving two different examples based on the orientation. We know that when we are going to apply the tensile force along the direction, this is very strong, whereas this is very weak. Okay, so now when I talk of this, so as we can see here are the reinforcement, and here it is the matrix. Both together is called as composite. Okay, so when I look the stress and the strain diagram of individual, now it is like this. So this is the matrix and this is the reinforcement. We are talking of the individual elements. Okay, so the matrix and reinforcement. Now we can see where this is having, okay, so EF, that is strain in fiber, whereas this strain in matrix. Strain in matrix is different, strain in fiber is different. Now this strength of matrix and strength of fiber. Strength of fiber, strength of matrix. Okay, so individually this is the strength of matrix, strain of matrix, strength of fiber, and strain of fiber. Now if I am going to consider this material which is having both, that is matrix plus reinforcement. Okay, so the strength of this is different, that is the strength, when you talk of strength, sigma m plus sigma f. Okay, so in this case strain of fiber plus strain of matrix. Okay, so we cannot write it like this because collectively the strength of this is different and this is different. Individually they are like this. So when I talk in terms of composite, okay, so this is composite, which I will call it as E1, that is longitudinal modulus, okay, that is this E1. So generally it is called as stress by strain. So here we have two different stress, that is the stress of matrix and stress of the fiber, and there are two different matrix, that is the strain of matrix and strain of fiber. So in a material, so you can see the strain is different, strain of fiber is different and the strain of the matrix is different, and the strength of fiber is different and the strength of matrix is different. But collectively the strength of composite, when I call it the strength of composite, again the property is different. Okay, so like this, when I start the analysis, it becomes more and more complex. Okay, so the study of this is dependent on this longitudinal modulus, that is based on the volume fraction. Okay, so this it says that E1 is equal to volume of filler and strength of filler, that is reinforcement. What volume of matrix you are going to add and what strength of matrix it is having. Okay, so this is called as the volume fraction, and it is also called as rule of mixture. So all the design parameters, okay, all the design parameters of the composites comes under this, that is the rule of mixture. And this rule of mixture is based on this understanding. Now when we talk of this strength, and it is having different density, so the density of fiber is different and the density of matrix is different. The volume of matrix fiber is different and the volume of matrix is different. Okay, so the density is mass by volume. So the mass of matrix is different and the mass of fiber is different. So though they are individually different, when I put all this together, when I get the density of the composite, okay, it is a combination of fiber and matrix, that is the mass of fiber, okay, the mass of reinforcement and the volume of reinforcement, the mass of matrix and the volume of matrix. Both together gives me my density of composite. But this also depends on the strength of fiber and the volume of fiber, the strength of matrix and the volume of matrix. So this study is called as by the rule of mixture. So this rule of mixture that I am going to take it in the coming class. Okay, so just you go through the study of this in some background, then I can when I tell all the details of this rule of mixture, then you can understand it better. So this is based on the volume fraction. So similarly you can have about the mass fraction also. So majority of the composites does not go by the mass fraction, it is only dealt with the volume fraction, because the process becomes more and more cumbersome and way more and more tedious when you consider the mass fraction, because the mass is not constant. Okay, so depending upon the atmospheric conditions, the mass also varies. So in here in the earth it varies, in the moon, in the space it varies, and in the closed container again it varies, and the level of inputs what goes into it also, it cannot be justified. Hence volume fraction is considered the best, and volume fraction is going to be used for all the further studies. Okay, so here I am going to stop. If any doubts are there, let us discuss in the coming class. So you can make a note of it and you can ask your queries. Thank you.